the spooky lighting today. Spooky lighting. Because it's dark and it's cold and we all need a bit of a laugh, don't we? In this miserable, miserable, rainy time of the year. Sigh. Autumn, winter are upon us. I quite like autumn actually, but this year I've seen so much rain. I don't want to see any more rain. So we're not going to look at the rain outside, the drizzle and the darkness. Instead, we are going to look at White Dwarf issue 202. Let's do it. Okay, here we are. In this issue, you get a free skink or Bretonnian archer. I think I got a skink. I think I would have preferred a Bretonnian archer. Now, I did have the box set, so I did have a lot of skinks and Bretonnian archers. And most of them got chopped up and tried to be converted and painted badly and are no longer in existence. But I do, in a tray just over here, actually, he says, pointing off camera, have a tray of plastic Bretonnians to have another go at. So we shall see if I'm a better painter now than I was when I was 12 years old. Hopefully something's gone very wrong if I'm not. Jake Thornton at the helm of this issue. And it's no great surprise that we are discussing the new Warhammer. That being what's on the cover, right? Ta-da! No picture on the back cover, no photograph on the back cover. We've just got the full spread of the new Warhammer box, which is Bretonnians and Lizardmen. It's an odd choice. I mean, I know there's one revived army and one very, very revisited army, really two very revisited armies, but an odd choice to have a tropical Lustrian army versus a medieval European army, especially with this very medieval European card terrain that came with it. I did often wonder what the Lizardmen were doing sailing over to the old world, and I couldn't really see the knights campaigning in this over in Lustria. But never mind, that aside, two very different armies. The knights were a nice thing, nice to have plastic horses at this point, continuing the trend of putting ever bigger plastic kits into the Warhammer base box. Continuing, of course, in the trend of the 4th edition, which suggested that you should have two armies that you can play straight out of the box. So you buy the box and you've got everything that you need in order to play. Hooray! Warhammer Magic is coming soon, so if you've been playing with Battle Magic and Arcane Magic, now you just need Magic, but you don't need it in any great hurry. And this article is very clear that actually the army books that were written for 4th should still be playable in 5th. That they don't want to make those obsolete because they've put so much work into them. So although they worked on some more for 5th, they were not replacing the army books that they had already created for 4th. The idea was to create something that would come with, or that would fit with the army books that already existed. Here is a summary of all of the things that are different between the 4th and 5th edition. So the order of things has changed slightly. Units can march move rather than just reserve move. Flank charges have changed. Units can lap around differently. Challenging works differently. Some of the psychology works differently. Aerial combat works very differently. War machines work differently. Capturing standards work differently. Skirmishers work differently. Most of these just tweaks and clarifications, but that change the nature of the game slightly to try and rebalance towards infantry, away from the super strong characters that have been built up in 4th. So even though this is often known as the Hero Hammer era, the Middle Hammer era, they were trying to claw back from that super powerful characters with super powerful magic items on super powerful monsters ruling the field, and to pull it back a little bit more to the rank and file game that it had been previously. Maybe I should revisit at this point some of my Warhammer encyclopedias, because I think we only got to 4th. Maybe this would be a good prompt to go and do the 5th edition ones. Here we have a discussion of the Thousand Suns and Ahriman, the Tzeentchian Chaos Sorcerer. Lovely Raven Wing bike squadron there. I don't know that they sold it like this, did they? They sold it as the 3. Not even like this. The captain, the multi-melter, and the plasma gun, but the multi-melter isn't here. These 3 must be just regular conversions of the bike marine. Don't know that they sold it in a set of 5. Maybe they did. We'll find out when we get to the end of the catalogue pages. Here is some more non-dungeon adventures for your Warhammer Quest heroes. Should they wish to get a breath of fresh air once in a while, here are some places that they can go. Now, this article is very much, although it's got some examples like a jungle and the treetops of Athelloren and on the deck of a Black Ark, it's very much the same. It's advocating using floor plans, using the same Warhammer Quest rules. It's not even necessarily suggesting that you create your own floor plans, but I think you probably should if you're going to be going out and about in the wilds of the Old Hammer world. So it's not a very interesting article. It's not very creative, I think, in a lot of its solutions. It runs that same challenge that most things have when you take a game out of the setting for which it was written, which is that actually it's just the same game with a slight reskin on it, and it doesn't take into account all of the other features that a game that was originally written to be set on the deck of a Black Ark or in the treetops above Athelloren might take into account. So I think you could be a bit more creative with it, but it is limited with space, so we'll let them off perhaps. You will see that although this set of data cards is gone, for some reason I cut out the data cards for the Space Marine Predator and Ahriman, even though I didn't really pay 40k and have no real interest in 40k. The Warhammer playsheet is still intact and in the middle here, and the reason for that is that this was the first boxed Warhammer game that I owned. I bought this with my birthday money when I was, this is 95, I was 11. Just turning 11. No, this is 96, just turning 12. There you go. Yes, 96, just turning 12. And yes, I bought this with my birthday money. So I didn't need to cut this out because I already had the ones that came in the box. Here's an interesting depiction of a Juggernaut of Khorne, which looks much better than any of the Juggernauts of Khorne that have ever been produced because they're just universally weird. But this is Jake Thornton discussing the conversion of Chaos miniatures. There was a bit of a discussion in the last Decades of Dwarf, or not the last of this era, Decades of Dwarf video, about how uniform and just generally spiky the Chaos Warriors were. They weren't very chaotic. They've lost that chaotic edge. Now they're just Night Lords, so they're just spiky, lightning bolty Marines rather than being Chaos Marines. And I was sort of suggesting that with the various pictures of the conversions that were being produced in White Dwarf, what they were really giving you was the base model and then saying, hey, here's a list of other bits you can buy, or you can model this and model that and make your own very individual conversions. And here's Jake Thornton really saying that thing. He's saying, look, here's how other people have taken our stock models and they've done weird and wacky and bizarre things with it. And some more John Blanche here, which, as you'll know if you watched last video, I'm not particularly keen. And this really, I don't, this sort of splatting inks all over it is not a style of painting that I really particularly enjoy. But you can see the conversions, and I think this is just adding another push to it, saying, look, here's what we're supplying you with. Here are basic evil Chaos Space Marines or evil Marines, but it's up to you to make them uniquely chaotic, and here's how other people have done. Here's some very different examples of how other people have gone about making them chaotic. Off you go. A project for you. Hence, Nigel Stillman discusses the Lords of Lustria, a bit of a reimagining of the history of the Warhammer world as it appeared in 3rd edition with the Slan and the Warp Gates, and the cultivation of the Warhammer world. In this case, Slann sort of survived and hung around, but they hung around as great bloated frog mages, and there were never that many of them anyway, and so their lizardy servants are the mainstay of their forces whilst they sit on these great bloated thrones. And of course there was a Slann palanquin previous to this, so that's clearly where the ideas come in. He was a big fat bloated mage, but gone are the lobotomized pygmy slaves. Not PC enough for this era, certainly not now, and we've got dinosaurs instead of frogs, which is cooler, let's face it. And newts, but even these newts, like look at the skinks, initially they look like kind of crested newts, but if you take the crest off, if you look at the head, that's a Jurassic Park velociraptor right there. That's very on trend for the dinosaurs of the era, is what that is. And I think that's why I love them. Mike Mouvet looks at banners, various different types of banners, why you would choose to put banners on, why somebody who hates banners and avoids banners at all costs can actually produce them fairly simply and fairly easily and have something that looks good. And here's a selection of all of Mike McVeigh's previous banners, and we've looked at the Wood Elf ones in recent issues. There's that Warhammer boxed set up close. And we're having discussed Lizardmen with Nigel Stillman, now we shall discuss Bretonnians with Nigel Stillman. For Luan Leoncoeur, the Lionheart, is being released this month alongside the box set and the Slann Mage Priest, so they're really all going out. I would have thought they would want to do one issue on the Lizardmen and the next issue on the Bretonnians, but nope, we're going to put them all into one issue. They're obviously not starved for content at the moment. And look at this, speaking of not being starved for content, Owen Branham's amazing crashed spaceship. If you've got the How to Make Wargames terrain book, you'll be very familiar with this. Here's the article that first discussed it in great detail. These bits of massive old Star Wars toy hacked about and added to gantries and all sorts of bits of pieces and stuff thrown together to make this extremely cool multi-level, all functioning, singing, dancing. Here's a yogurt pot, here's a drinks can, but it's not just a drinks can, it's a modified cut in half and shortened drinks can, so that you don't immediately go, oh, it's a drinks can. There's so much cool stuff on this build. It's really inspirational. On my first Necromunda table that I tried to create, I think I tried to go very much for this look, but obviously it did not have the skill or the time or the space or the money or any of the things that would be needed to create something of this magnitude, but love it very much indeed. And interestingly, it wasn't a Necromunda table. It was a Trinity Battleground, White Wolf Trinity Battleground table, because I didn't have Necromunda, couldn't afford Necromunda, so I had Trinity Battleground instead, of which I think we've done a video previously. Look it up, it's a fun game, and I still enjoy it, and I need to get around to painting my new set. I picked it up a few years ago and have done nothing with it, but now I'm out of Warhammer armies, so I will get to it, I'm sure. Here's a discussion of stone throwers of various types and their permutations, so including repeater bolt throwers, the halfling hot pot, the goblin doom divers, and various others, methods of slinging stuff across the battlefield. Small discussion on chariots and the merit of fielding war machines in batteries. And how great is the steam tank? So just a general discussion of war machines, how to field them, what to do with them, what to field, or what the author's preference. And here we have an Imperial Guard army versus an Aspect Warrior army. Nice colourful 40k battle report, mix of these colourful maps and some nice photographs and some artwork. things going badly for both sides, but particularly for the Eldar in this case. And here are this month's new releases. The Predator kit for the Rhino, the regular bog standard Space Marine bike, a bad one we've seen previously, haven't we? But now Fabius Bile, Khan the Betrayer and Riemann, so Nurgle, Khorne, Tzeentch, possibly Slaanesh? Not really, is he? Not really the big four covered just yet. Terminators, Space Marines, Luan Leoncoeur on his Hippogriff, Slan Mage Priest, Lizardman, there we go. The launch of Warhammer 5th edition, and if you'd like to see my Encyclopedia Warhammica 5th edition, let me know and I shall dig it out from this bookcase behind me. In the meantime, take care and I shall see you again.